It's Daniel Scranton, and I've been thinking about doing a video on thoughts and what they are and where they come from. And the past couple days, I've been getting a lot of. I've been having some experiences that have led me to believe maybe the universe was trying to tell me to do this video. This is, of course, just my understanding of how things are, and I base that on my own channeling as well as what I've learned from others, because others certainly have a lot to say and contribute. So what is a thought anyway, and where does it come from? A lot of us probably have thought or believed for most of our lives that our thoughts come from inside of us, that they're somehow generated within the brain or even the mind, if you think of the mind as being inside of you, which I'm not even sure we can all agree on that that's the case. I think it might be bigger than our bodies, in the same way our energy field is bigger than our bodies. So I remember having conversations with Abraham Hicks about this in the hot seat. I wanted to know, are there new thoughts? Because I thought that would be kind of exciting and interesting if there were. And Abraham always insisted, no, there are no new thoughts. What I've come to understand about thoughts is that they exist in the same way that emotions exist. They exist as these beings of energy, and they're drawn to us by our vibration. So we experience the thought. Our mind, brain, body, consciousness becomes aware of the thought because it's floating around. We match the vibration of the thought, so then the thought becomes a part of our awareness. So if you have had thoughts that you don't like, and you start to think that the thought defines you, like, oh no, I had this really bad thought, I had this thought about hitting someone, or running my car into that person's their car in traffic. You think, oh, that now defines me because I had that thought. I thought that thought. And I want to say that don't be hard on yourself because you ran into that thought. That thought was there. It existed before you had your experience of it. Just like a lot of what we see here on Earth existed before we were born. And really it's our job to sort through it all, decide what we like, what we don't like, what we want to create, what we think is beneficial for everyone, and then create that reality. So if we demystify thought, if we don't make it so important, as I said in a previous video like this, a lot of people have thought for a long time that we create our reality with thoughts. But really, we create our reality with vibration. The thought that we come in contact with is a match to the vibration we're offering. So are the circumstances of our lives. So are our emotions, our relationships. Everything stems from the vibration, not the thought. So you can stop worrying about your thoughts, which is a good thing. And you can start paying attention to them because they're there to let you know that you've got a vibration going on that you might want to address. So you've heard of thoughts, and you may have heard of thought forms. So a thought form is like when you have one thought, and that thought's offering a vibration, and then other thoughts like it come together with it and create a thought form, which is a more solidified version of a thought. Thought forms, like thoughts, can be left behind in a room, and you can bump into that thought form later. It's like the thought has some momentum going. It's not just a fleeting thought. It's not just something that you entertain 1 minute or 1 second and then it's gone. I'll give you the example I was thinking of. I'll give you two. So yesterday I was thinking about one of the candidates for president. I won't say which one because I don't want to throw this person under the bus. But I was basically thinking about how I don't think this candidate is sincere. I think this candidate is putting on a show, and that the candidate doesn't even think that they have any chance at all of winning. But it's like a big publicity stunt. And some of you probably just figured out who I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm thinking about this person as I'm walking into our ohana. And ohana is like a guest house. So we have a guest house off the main house. And then I go back to opening coconuts. I'm opening coconuts, and then I'm bringing the coconut water into the fridge in the ohana because we don't have any room in our normal fridge. And as I get to the doorstep of the ohana, I start thinking about that candidate again, and I realize this is where I was thinking about the candidate. This is the last place I was thinking about this person. And the energy's still here, and when I return to this spot, it's like the thought form just enters my head. That's why you can walk into a room, and if there was a big argument there, or even just an intense conversation, you can sort of pick up on it. Even if it wasn't very emotional, you can pick up on thoughts that are in a room. This is one of the reasons why it's a good idea if you want to channel or just meditate, even get out of the house, get away from the places you normally are, and go off into the woods or go to the beach and do it, because there are less of those thought forms and thoughts floating around that you're normally entertaining with your mind. The other example was, and I can't think of the word now, which I know is going to bother some of you, but there's a word, and I'm thinking about it at the kitchen sink. And I like the word, but I'm not really sure what it means. It's just one of those words I've heard, and it sounds cool. And I'm thinking about it at the kitchen sink one night, and then I'm at the kitchen sink again doing dishes, and the word comes back. And again, I'm in the same location, and it's like this word, this thought about this word was left there, and I bump into it. So if you need any evidence of this whole idea that thoughts just float around, they don't begin and end in your head. They float around, and your brain is like a radio, and the radio takes in the waves depending on the frequency the radio is operating on. So that determines what station you're listening to, what song you hear. With your brain, it's determining what thought is coming into your awareness. So if you want better thoughts, don't just force yourself to think better thoughts. I always wondered when I was first waking up and really into Deepak Chopra, I was like, why does Deepak Chopra not like positive thinking? What does this guy have against positive thinking? And now I know. It's because positive thinking is not going deep enough. You've got to get to the vibration. You've got to get to what's underneath the thought. And when you do that, you can change your life, you can change the world, you can change reality as you experience it. But this is why it's also so important for us to be moving from our heads to our hearts at this time of the shift, because we're so used to relying on our minds and our thoughts to help us survive, to help us solve problems, but it doesn't really get us anywhere to do that, because those thoughts are the same thoughts that have been thought. It's like that quote, I think it's attributed to Einstein: you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing probably. So we want to shift. We want to shift beyond the third dimension. We want to shift beyond the head, beyond the mind, and beyond thought. That's why meditation is so important. Feeling is so important. Presence, being aware. Just be aware of those thoughts. Let them wake you up to what you're actually feeling and what you're vibrating. And don't worry about the fact that you thought an unpleasant thought. I've had times in my life as a younger person especially, but even in my 30s, where certain thoughts, they would get stuck in my head. I could not get rid of them. They were unwanted. And I later found out, I studied psychology at Boston University, and later found out that automatic thoughts, that's a thing. That's a thing in the DSM, in abnormal psychology, this idea that you just can't get rid of these thoughts. And I think that if those people knew about vibration, how to go within, how to feel for that vibration and shift what's going on underneath the thought, then I wish I knew that when I was younger. Resistance to a thought will keep that thought active. It'll keep it coming back more and more, because now you're still vibrating in harmony with the thought, even though it's your resistance to it. It still matches that thought. So you want to think better thoughts? Get out of your head. Get in your body, get in your heart, feel for a better feeling vibration, and the thoughts will come. Trust me. If you vibrate it, they will come. Blessings, everyone. Namaste to you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already.